If you've ever come across Hebrew Israelites on the street or maybe online, you've probably come across something like this. Well, is that really true? No, it's not. But don't take my word for it.
Bibbins get up with that impressive voice and that stately manner and that white beard.
And he also used to wear his turban.
And he wore a white turban. One time we were over there and they had the charts up. And they had the charts that said if you're Jamaican, you come from this tribe, and if you're from Barbados, and that tribe, and read the book, say, hey, come on, Pop. What is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Daddy, I know that's not right. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true.
Old Super Dave is at it again, y'all. This demon right here. He's been lying for the longest time, y'all. But let's talk about this chart. They love to focus on this chart. See, the 12 tribes chart, all it is a tool, you see, because we understand that, when the Israelites were scattered to the four corners of the earth, some of us were mixed in. You have some Judah mixed in with Levi. You got some Gad that were dwelling over here. You see? So it's not 100% accurate. Of course not. See, you have some Judah that's dwelling over there in Jamaica. You see, you might have some Judah dwelling in Cuba. Puerto Rico. You see? It's not 100% fail-safe. This is what you are if you're in this land. The tribes were mixed, through slavery, and it goes by your father's lineage anyway, according to Numbers 118. But these Christian pastors, they don't understand that. You see, we've brought the scriptures out many times. Numbers 118. You see, you are what your father is. It goes by the house of your father. You see, but they just want to focus on this 12 tribes chart. Any little thing that they can use to try to disprove the truth. Now let's go to the scriptures, because the scriptures say we ought to obey man we ought to obey God rather than man. You see, we should not be listening to these Christian pastors, they have some type of, their money is at stake, when the Israelites speak. You see, their congregations are dwindling. You see, they have an agenda, you see, which is to get your money, your 10%. You see, so we ought to obey God rather than men. So when we go to the book of Isaiah chapter 11, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. See, that's a possessive pronoun. His people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam. That's Elam is Iran. You see, Cush is talking about Ethiopia. Assyria is Turkey. All these different lands, Pathros, Egypt. You see, all these different lands, there are Israelites dwelling in all these lands. You see, just like the 12 tribes chart tell you. You see, it's the chart is not a lie. It's not 100% correct. But it gives you an idea that we were scattered. That's what it's telling you, that we were scattered. The Israelites would be scattered in all these different lands. That's all it's saying. But it says, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea, Cuba, Jamaica, all these different lands, we would be scattered. The Most High, His son is going to redeem us from all these different lands. You see, that's what God says. You see, that the Hebrew Israelites didn't come up with that idea. That's what God says. Verse 12, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations. He's going to set up the Bible for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So we are scattered in four corners of the earth. You see, we're going to be dwelling in all these different lands, just like the 12 tribe charts tell you. You see? All right, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. Because the Israelites, we always prove, with scripture, what we bring out. You hear something, about the 12 tribes chart. You might run across the Israelites on the street teaching, and you only get 10 minutes worth of, education. That's it. And then you'll see a devil like this, on TikTok or YouTube or something, bringing out, the Israelites are lying. The 12 tribe charts is not real. You see, that's why we say, come to Israelite, church. Come study with us. We have all the history. We have all the documentation, you see, to prove what we're saying, you see. But you're out here, you're not girded up, You're not girded up. You don't have the breastplate, the armor of God about you. And when you hear stuff like this, you're easily taken down. You're easily deceived again. You see, the devil is good. That's his job, to deceive you. You see, he tells you that the Israelites are lying to you, but at the same time, they're in the Christian church taking 10% of your money. You see, they tell you the laws of God are done away with, but they're still doing tithes in the church. Make it make sense. So the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32, 26 says, I said I would scatter them. I would scatter the Israelites, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native American. I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. So when the Most High says he would scatter us, what means of transportation? What means of transportation would they use back in those days to transport you from point A to point B? You see, to scatter you out of your land of Israel, out of Jerusalem. You see, what means of transportation would they use? You see, it makes sense. It all when you put the scriptures together, it all makes sense. When you look at history and what the Bible is saying, it all coincide. You see, that's how I knew this was true. When I looked at history and I looked at Deuteronomy 28:68, where it says you would go into a captivity again with ships. You see, it all made sense. You see, any fool that could add 2 + 2 understands that this is all truth. No lies here. No lies. So look, when you have Satan, as it says in Mark 4:14, when you have heard the truth and the Satan comes immediately, this is how Satan looks. You see, he's not in a red 3-piece suit with horns on his head. You see, this is how Satan looks. He's a deceiver. He deceiveth the whole world, as it says in the book of Revelation. That serpent, the same one that was in the garden with Eve. You see, he's telling you that the 12 tribe chart is not real because he's mad. You see, as it says in Revelation 12, the devil is mad. He is wroth. His name is not on the chart. His people are not on the 12 tribe chart. So now he's telling you, blacks and Hispanics, Native American people, that you're not the Israelites, which would be false. You see? Shalom.